I want to be done with Coyote Pass. Robyn she's been just struggling to let go of the dream.
$750,000. That is the number that has just blown the lid off Kody and Robyn Brown's financial reality and exposed a crisis far deeper than fans ever imagined. For months, viewers have speculated about the true state of the Brown family finances. Now, confirmation has arrived, and it is far worse than expected. Kody and Robyn, the couple who presented themselves as the final survivors of the Sister Wives collapse, have reportedly leveraged their Flagstaff home for $750,000. And let's be very clear, when you start treating your house like an ATM, you are not planning for the future. You are scrambling to survive the present. Sources familiar with the situation insist this was not a carefully planned financial strategy or a savvy investment move. This was an emergency measure, a last-ditch grab for cash after every other option had apparently run out. One insider put it bluntly, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and eventually, that always catches up with you. When you have been on television for over a decade, earning what industry insiders estimate were substantial TLC paychecks, and you still need to borrow against your home, something has gone catastrophically wrong. The contrast between where Kody and Robyn once stood and where they are now is staggering. Remember the grand vision of Coyote Pass? The polygamist paradise. Custom homes. Long-term security. That dream hasn't just faded, it has completely imploded. Kody is now left with one wife, fractured relationships, and a financial situation so dire that he's betting his primary residence just to stay afloat. And the timing makes this even more alarming. This equity line didn't happen in isolation. Sources say legal pressure has been building from multiple directions, creating a perfect storm that forced Kody and Robyn's hand. This isn't about lifestyle upgrades or keeping up appearances. This is about preparing for serious legal battles that require massive cash reserves. Let's break down what a $750,000 home equity line of credit actually means. When you borrow against your home, you are putting your property on the line. If you can't repay it, the bank doesn't negotiate, they take your house. Kody and Robyn have essentially placed their Flagstaff home on the chopping block, gambling that future income will somehow cover hundreds of thousands of dollars plus interest. Given their recent financial track record, that is an enormous gamble. Sources suggest this was a last resort, not a first choice. One person close to their finances described it as watching someone max out their final credit card right before the bank cuts them off. The desperation is undeniable, and many industry watchers are questioning how long this temporary fix can possibly hold. Multiple insiders now believe the equity line may be earmarked specifically for legal defense costs. And let's translate that into plain English. When you need $750,000 just in case you have to fight lawsuits, you are not dealing with minor disputes. You are facing serious claims from people who are motivated, organized, and ready to pursue them aggressively. At this point, the Brown family drama appears to have moved beyond reality TV and into real courtrooms. How did it all come to this? Insiders point to a perfect storm of financial mismanagement. Robyn's spending habits have long been a topic of fan speculation, and sources now claim those habits continued even as income declined. Alleged expenses include high-end home decor, ongoing childcare assistance, and personal costs that would strain far larger incomes. Add to that Kody's history of failed business ventures, from abandoned real estate plans to unsuccessful entrepreneurial projects, and the picture becomes clearer. Some of those ventures reportedly left behind lingering debts that never disappeared. The equity line may now be covering years of unresolved financial damage. Even the Flagstaff home itself tells a troubling story. Purchased at a premium in a volatile market, real estate experts suggest the property may not be worth what is currently owed on it. When the original mortgage is combined with a new equity line, Kody and Robyn could be dangerously close to being underwater on the very house they're using as a financial lifeline. The irony is brutal. This home was supposed to represent a fresh start, an escape from the chaos of Las Vegas. Instead, it has become collateral in a desperate attempt to stay solvent. Meanwhile, the Brown family income has collapsed. When Sister Wives featured 4 marriages, 4 households, and constant interpersonal drama, the show delivered ratings and strong paychecks. But with Mary, Janelle, and Christine gone, the core premise of the show has evaporated. Let's be honest, Sister Wives is no longer about plural marriage. It's now a chronicle of a family breakdown, centered on a man who drove away 3 wives.
She's got a conscience that is angelic and very close to God, and she would never let me do anything naughty.
And the one remaining partner allegedly spending faster than the checks arrive. Industry sources suggest ratings have declined accordingly. One insider compared it to trying to sell a pizza after removing all the toppings. The appeal just isn't there anymore. The financial burden that was once shared across 4 households now rests entirely on Kody and Robyn, and by all accounts, that weight is crushing them. And then there's the legal storm. Sources indicate potential lawsuits tied to former family members and past business partners, people with long memories and unresolved grievances. Years of informal agreements, shared finances, and loosely defined ownership structures have reportedly created a legal minefield. As one insider described it, it's a tangled mess of verbal promises, unclear deals, and hurt feelings, and when families fall apart, that becomes litigation gold. Even concerns about defamation and public statements have been raised, as Kody and Robyn's on-camera comments about former wives may carry legal risk if challenged. When you add it all together, the $750,000 equity line stops looking shocking and starts looking inevitable. This isn't a strategy. It's survival. And the question now isn't why they borrowed the money. It's how long before it runs out. Given how freely Kody has spoken about Mary, Janelle, and Christine in recent interviews and episodes, there may be significant legal exposure building beneath the surface. Every public comment, every pointed remark adds another potential liability, especially when relationships that once involved shared finances and joint decision-making have collapsed so completely. Contract disputes represent another serious legal landmine. For more than a decade, 4 wives operated within a shared family structure that almost certainly involved countless agreements, some written, many verbal, covering money, property, and responsibilities. Now that those relationships have fractured, any one of those agreements could become the basis for a legal claim. Sources suggest at least one former wife has already consulted attorneys about enforcing promises Kody allegedly made and later failed to honor. While the specifics remain unclear, insiders say the potential financial consequences could be substantial. What makes this situation especially dangerous for Kody and Robyn is the combination of mounting legal exposure and limited financial flexibility. Lawsuits are expensive, regardless of whether you win or lose. Attorney fees, court costs, discovery, expert witnesses, those bills accumulate fast. And when you're already borrowing against your home just to stay afloat, prolonged legal battles could be absolutely catastrophic. One source familiar with the legal landscape described it as death by 1,000 paper cuts if Kody and Robyn are forced to fight on multiple fronts at once. And one name continues to surface whenever these legal threats are discussed, a name tied to the longest relationship and potentially the deepest grievances. Mary Brown's departure from the family was anything but simple. For over 3 decades, she was legally married to Kody before divorcing him, so he could legally marry Robyn for adoption purposes. That decision fundamentally altered her legal standing and financial security. Think about that for a moment. Mary gave up her status as Kody's legal wife so Robyn could gain legal protections. According to sources, that sacrifice was followed not by gratitude, but by years of emotional distance, public rejection, and eventual exclusion. If anyone has motivation to hold Kody accountable, Mary would logically be at the top of that list. Rumors surrounding non-disclosure agreements have circulated within fan communities for months, and sources now suggest there may be truth behind them. Allegedly, Kody and Robyn wanted Mary to sign documents that would restrict her from publicly discussing certain aspects of her time in the family. One insider described it as an effort to buy her silence about information that could be deeply embarrassing or potentially damaging if made public. The obvious question remains, what does Mary know that would be worth legally silencing? Sources are careful with their wording, referring to secrets or serious matters without providing specifics. What is known is that Mary was present for over 30 years of Brown family history. She witnessed financial decisions, private conflicts, business dealings, and personal dynamics that never appeared on camera. As one source put it bluntly, Mary knows where all the bodies are buried. Metaphorically speaking, that kind of long-term, inside knowledge represents powerful leverage in any dispute. Her social media activity has only fueled speculation. Fans have closely analyzed her posts, interpreting references to truth, karma, and authenticity as veiled messages directed at Kody and Robyn.
Snap, she didn't mean that. Hey, he didn't mean that. Hey, well.
Maybe time will just make us all feel like, oh, that was petty.
Whether intentional or not, those posts have created an atmosphere of tension that insiders say is deeply unsettling for those still living in Flagstaff. The financial implications of Mary's exit may also be far more serious than many realize. As an original wife, she may have unresolved claims related to property, business interests, or shared income streams. Legal observers note that such claims don't simply disappear when someone leaves, especially if they were never formally settled. And Mary isn't the only former wife who could create serious problems. Janelle Brown's unresolved property disputes over Coyote Pass represent a ticking time bomb. That land, once marketed as the foundation of the family's future, now stands as a monument to failed leadership. Sources say Janelle retains ownership interests that remain unresolved, and unlike Kody, she appears unwilling to walk away from her investment. Christine Brown's situation adds yet another layer of pressure. While Kody and Robyn are borrowing against their home, Christine has built a thriving independent brand through cooking content, merchandise, and social media. The contrast is brutal. As one source close to Christine noted, her success is the best revenge, and Kody has to watch it happen publicly. Speculation continues that Kody may still owe financial obligations to one or more former wives. In plural marriages, there is no standard legal framework for separation. Everything must be negotiated privately. That leaves ample room for disputes, especially when promises were made publicly over many years on camera. Legal experts point out that while verbal contracts are difficult to enforce, decades of recorded statements create an unusually strong evidentiary trail. In any dispute, those clips could become liabilities. Taken together, the combined pressure from all three former wives represents an unprecedented threat to Kody and Robyn's financial stability. Even modest claims, when stacked together, could rapidly drain the entire $750,000 equity line through legal fees alone. Sources say Kody has been advised to settle wherever possible, but insiders question whether his ego will allow him to do so. Inside the Brown household, the strain is reportedly reaching a breaking point. Longtime insiders describe escalating arguments between Kody and Robyn over finances, blame, and lost income streams. The dynamic that once defined their relationship has shifted dramatically. For years, Robyn was positioned as the favored wife. Now, according to sources, she has become the primary target of Kody's frustration, simply because she is the only one left. Ironically, insiders say Robyn has begun openly criticizing Kody for alienating the very wives who helped sustain the family's income. Some conversations reportedly include blunt reminders that 4 TLC paychecks would still exist if he had treated the others with basic respect. Whether this represents genuine reflection or convenient hindsight is debatable. What is not debatable is that these conversations signal a fundamental change in their relationship. Even Robyn's children are reportedly feeling the effects. The lifestyle they grew accustomed to, space, comfort, and stability, may no longer be sustainable. Discussions about cutting expenses have created tension with older children who understand what is happening but have no control over the outcome. And that may be the most telling sign of all. This is no longer just reality television drama. It's a financial and legal reckoning, and the clock is ticking. One insider described the situation as watching children slowly realize that their parents' choices didn't just hurt the other wives, it hurt them too. The generational fallout of Kody Brown's decisions continues to expand, reaching far beyond the adults who once agreed to live this lifestyle. Recent social media observations have only fueled concern. Robyn has appeared visibly stressed in public sightings and online appearances. While stress can come from many sources, those close to the family say the financial pressure is taking a serious toll on her emotional and mental well-being. The woman once portrayed as calm, spiritually grounded, and secure now reportedly struggles with constant anxiety about the future. One source described it as Robyn finally understanding what the other wives lived with for years: the instability of depending on a man who makes promises he cannot keep. That realization raises an unavoidable question. Can a relationship between Kody and Robyn survive this level of pressure? Relationships formed during times of abundance often fracture when resources become scarce. The dynamic that worked when Kody could provide generously collapses when there is nothing left to give. Insiders say conversations about the future have become tense and circular, with neither party willing to accept responsibility for how they arrived at this point.
I need to get over this.
Well, then maybe we do move on. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tell you I'd rather sell.
But Kody's response to the mounting pressure may be the most revealing part of this entire saga. Sources describe a man scrambling to generate income through half-formed business ideas that have no realistic chance of success. From vague social media marketing schemes to undefined consulting opportunities, Kody reportedly jumps from one concept to the next without ever building anything viable. One insider put it bluntly: he believes he deserves success without doing the work required to earn it. His shrinking social media presence tells its own story. The man who once dominated conversations and demanded attention has become increasingly withdrawn. Negative feedback and public criticism have reportedly made him reluctant to post, creating a vicious cycle: less engagement, less visibility, and even fewer income opportunities. One observer described it as watching someone hide from the consequences of their own behavior rather than confronting the damage they caused. Even more surprising, sources indicate Kody has begun reaching out to former family members, possibly seeking financial help, forgiveness, or at least a ceasefire in ongoing legal tensions. The man who publicly dismissed and demeaned his former wives now allegedly approaches them asking for understanding. One insider called these attempts deeply humiliating, noting that Kody seems to expect compassion from people he spent years mistreating. Whether any of these efforts have succeeded is unclear, but the fact that he is making them at all speaks volumes about how desperate the situation has become. Kody's past statements now echo with bitter irony. He lectured about loyalty while playing favorites. He dismissed wives who questioned him. He styled himself as a confident patriarch while making decisions that isolated everyone around him. Those words are now permanent records of arrogance colliding with reality. As one source observed, karma has a long memory, and the bill has finally come due. In Kody's mind, he remains the head of a family empire, a powerful television figure, a man of influence. In reality, he is borrowing against his home, facing potential legal action from multiple former family members, and watching his one remaining wife grow increasingly resentful. The disconnect between self-image and reality is staggering. The $750,000 home equity line may provide temporary relief, but it cannot fix problems this deep. When you run the numbers, the situation becomes even more alarming. Legal representation alone can cost tens of thousands of dollars per month. Add mortgage payments, utilities, food, and the lifestyle expenses Robyn reportedly considers non-negotiable, and sources estimate their burn rate could exceed $50,000 per month. At that pace, the equity line disappears in 12 to 18 months. That makes the loss of their Flagstaff home not a hypothetical risk, but a genuine possibility. Banks do not care about television fame, spiritual beliefs, or family drama. If payments stop, the house goes. Sources familiar with the Flagstaff real estate market say the property is already being watched as a potential distress sale. Let that sink in. The home meant to symbolize their fresh start could end up sold on courthouse steps. Speculation about whether TLC might step in remains unresolved. While the network has supported cast members in the past, industry insiders suggest patience is wearing thin. Ratings have declined, storylines have stagnated, and the show's original premise no longer exists. If TLC pulls the plug, Kody and Robyn lose their primary income source overnight. Fan theories range from bankruptcy to downsizing to unlikely reconciliation attempts. Bankruptcy would be publicly humiliating. Downsizing would require Robyn to accept a lifestyle far below what she expected. Reconciliation appears nearly impossible given the depth of past damage. Still, insiders say every option is being discussed. The uncertainty extends to the children as well. Adult children must decide whether to help a father who mistreated their mothers. Younger children face futures that may look nothing like what they were promised. The ripple effects of financial collapse spread far beyond one household. What makes this moment so striking is how perfectly the pieces align. Legal threats, financial desperation, family fracture, every consequence arriving at once. Kody spent years believing his position entitled him to loyalty, money, and obedience. He prioritized comfort and favoritism, dismissed dissent, and made promises he could never fulfill. Now, every one of those choices is coming home at the same time. Robyn, once the favored wife, now finds herself trapped on a sinking ship.
Christine is thriving.
Janelle has peace. Mary has stability. Robyn alone remains tethered to Kody's collapse. Whether she regrets her choices or simply resents the outcome is unknown, but either way, this is not the ending she expected. The $750,000 equity line stands as a monument to years of mismanagement, favoritism, and unchecked arrogance. It represents not just a financial crisis, but a lifetime of choices finally demanding accountability. Luck runs out, patience expires, and karma keeps meticulous records. So the final question remains, will Kody and Robyn lose everything, or will they somehow escape the trap of their own making? The walls are closing in from every direction. And whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The Brown family story has entered its most dramatic chapter yet, and the ending is still unwritten.